Boro lose again in what is now our worst start to a season ever.
As the Uruguayan curls one in. Oh, Middlesbrough take the lead!
What is up, guys? Matthew here. Welcome to another episode of Project Boro, and we're here again talking about another Middlesbrough defeat, our fifth defeat in 6 games. We've now picked up 1 point from our opening 6, our worst start in our history. As I say, scoring a total of 4 goals and conceding 13 goals in 6 games. That's over 2 goals a game. This was a case of new start, same old Boro, and in fact, you could argue even worse Boro. I actually went into this game with a little bit of optimism, and it wasn't optimism because of anything Boro have done. I said this in my prediction video before the weekend, that I hadn't seen anything to suggest or to make me think that Boro were going to do anything like win this game, and I never once expected us to go to Blackburn and win. But I did think that given the fact we had 2 weeks on the training ground, and that gives you plenty of time to reflect on the start of the season, reflect on where things have gone wrong, that we'd be able to correct some of our problems and show some signs of improvement, whether it's a change of system or looking a bit tighter at the back or just not conceding goals. Just something that I could, cling on to say, right, I can see where we're going. I can see that we're trying to fix things. And I just felt as if the international break would give us a chance to at least take a step forward. And for me, this was at best a sidestep, arguably a step backwards, because, the first half, especially in this game, was absolutely dreadful, hopeless, the worst of the season. In a lot of games thus far, I could say that Boro weren't great, but the opposition wasn't great either. In all of the 5 games we'd played thus far, I could say that we were equally just as good or equally just as bad as the opposition. There wasn't a game where I thought, God, we were bad, and we were well and truly second best there. Even the QPR game last time out, we created more than enough chances to win that game twice, but we just didn't. And as we have done continuously, just defended terribly for the goals that they did score. In this game, or in the first half especially, we were by far the worst team. We were absolutely terrible in every single area. And truthfully, Blackburn could have been up by 3 or 4 at least by half time. The game should have been gone. The game should have been done and dusted. And don't get me wrong, Blackburn, I thought, were good on the ball. They played a very good tempo. They passed the ball around, had some very good off the ball movement, and carved out some very, very good chances. I think Dolan missed pretty much an open goal within the first few minutes. There was a second chance. I don't know if it was for Gallagher or who it was. I think the ball was played across the box and it was skied over the bar. Another really good opportunity. Blackburn should have been well up before the opening 20 minutes. And we were lucky that we were still in the game at that point. And I started to think to myself, you know what, finally, we've went through a spell where the opposition's had really good chances, but we've not actually let one in, because pretty much throughout the whole season we've been conceding from chances where the opposition hasn't particularly been on top and they haven't actually had to carve us open. Here we had a scenario where the opposition had carved us open but had actually not put the ball in the back of the net, and I started to think to myself, are things turning here? Like, are Boro actually going to still be in this game, and maybe we've rode our luck and we're going to start to get into the game, and by good fortune or poor finishing from the opposition, we might be in with a chance here, as long as we just don't concede first, because what we've done in every single game is we've conceded first. But of course, we didn't capitalise on the fact Blackburn didn't take their chances, at least in the first half an hour, because Boro themselves were just as insipid and as slow and as poor on the ball as we have been all season. It wasn't like we were offering something going the other way. We were absolutely dreadful in possession. I mean, I've never seen a side who look like they've never played with each other before. You wouldn't think these guys trained with each other every single day of the week. You wouldn't. You know, the passing was off, as has been, you know, in every game so far. Nothing off the ball, no movement off the ball, not trying to move their players around to create space, to stretch their defence. None of that. It was just really, really poor, really, really slow, and we gave Blackburn nothing to worry about at all in the first half, and it was just a matter of, we'll wait for you to score, and then we'll probably then decide that we want to actually turn up and play football. And that's exactly what happened. Sammy Smodics on at the half-hour mark. Ball was played through the middle again. Boro's midfield, non-existent, not even there. It's a really good dummy from Sam Gallagher, who completely sells Dale Fry. And then you've got Sammy Smodics, who is in between Fry and Vandenberg in as much space as he likes. Vandenberg's not close enough and can't get close enough. And to Smodics' credit, it's a wonderful finish into the bottom corner. But, you know, that was the least that they deserved, Blackburn. And they go into the first half 1-0 up when, truth be told, we were lucky to be even within sight of Blackburn at that point. They really should have been 3 or 4 ahead. And we go into it 1-0 down, and you think, you know, somehow we're still in this game, and if we just turn up and turn our levels up a little bit, maybe we can, you know, get something level. But as soon as the second half started, it was exactly the same. They had another golden opportunity within a minute of the second half starting. I think a ball was played across the box. It was chested down. Dieng was completely out of position. I don't know if it was Gallagher again or whoever it was. There was a Blackburn player who, if he'd have squared it to whoever he had to his right, it was an open goal tap-in. And for whatever reason, he went for the shot instead, and Dieng made the save. And, you know, we got a corner, they got a corner from it. But this has been a common habit of Boro's this season, that at the start of both halves, we are just asleep. I mean, we continuously concede big chances and goals at the start of especially the second half. I don't know why we're not coming out, and we're on our toes, we're on our heels instead, and we're so passive again, and we should have been 2-0 down. Blackburn miss another good chance, but they do eventually go on to take the second and put themselves 2-0 up, and it's Sammy Smodics once again. Now, this won't be shown in the highlights because it was quite far before the actual goal, but this started in Blackburn's half, and as has been the way all season, Boro's midfield it's as easy to get through as possible. It's as useful as a chocolate fireguard. It really is. Howson and Hackney are beaten by the Blackburn players, and within 2 or 3 touches, they're in behind on the right-hand side, and suddenly our midfield's running backwards, our defence is on the back foot, and we're up against it. And everything about this goal just epitomises what is wrong with Boro this season. It epitomises everything that is wrong with us. In our own half, in the transition, we get beaten in the midfield, way too easy. Suddenly, our back four's exposed. The ball's played in the middle at Sammy Smodics, and we've seen this again so often this season. He's got all the time and space to pick his spot, take his shot. No one close him down, no one trying to block the shot. It's a free shot on our goal, essentially, and of course it finds its way into the back of the net. And this is the first time this season I can say we've conceded a goal where Seny Dieng should do better. He gets a full hand to it, but his hand is not strong enough, and the ball goes into the back of the net, and Blackburn double their lead. But essentially, you know, they should have had twice as many goals, if not more, at this point. And never did I once think Boro would get back into the game from that point. It was exactly what they deserved, and it had what been coming. And if Blackburn hadn't have gotten a second, it would have been, you know, completely an injustice against them, in my opinion. You know, they continue to bang on the door. They could have had more. They missed more real gilt-edged chances. And out of nothing, Boro get a goal back. And it is typical that the goal we get back should have been disallowed. I mean, I have never, and I cannot quite fathom, and this is me putting my neutral hat on here, I do not understand how the referee and the assistant hasn't saw that Crooks is at least a yard offside. I mean, it is beyond blatant how this goal was given. I mean, Crooks is so far offside, it's ridiculous. It's almost like the officials have took pity on Boro. They felt so sorry for us, they've just thought, right, let them have a goal. You know, things are bad enough for them as it is. And Crooks finds, you know, a tap in from a force shot / cross. And out of the blue, it's 2-1. And it is the most undeserved 2-1 I think I've ever seen. And then all of a sudden, Boro are back in it. And, to be fair, the last half an hour was a basketball game. I mean, it was end to end. They had even more chances. I mean, they could have had more. But Boro should have had more as well. And it wasn't until this point we actually started putting some good attacking sequences together, and we actually carved open some pretty good chances. And there was a part of me that thought, you know what, forgetting the first half, forgetting how unfair it would be on Blackburn, there was a part of me that actually thought, oh my God, we could actually get something out of this. We might actually get a point from this. Unbelievably, completely undeserved, because we created some fantastic chances. And again, we just could not finish them. Typical of our season. I mean, McGree had a shot that was just over. There was another couple of efforts, but the one that stands out was Lath played through. And like he's done many times this season, like he did against Huddersfield when we were level, just no composure in front of goal whatsoever. He took another way too many touches and allowed the keeper to come out and basically block the shot. I don't even think he got a shot off, to be honest. And it was a case of they could have gotten their third, fourth, fifth. Boro could have got a second and maybe even a winner. At that point, it was a basketball game that could have went one of each ways. But in truth, the result stayed as it was, 2-1, and that's how it should have stayed. I mean, don't get me wrong, if Boro had gotten something from it and one of them chances had gone in and we'd have levelled it 2-2, even nicked a winner, I'd have been ecstatic, and the first half performance might have not looked as bad. But if I'm being truthful, if I'm being honest, and if I take off my Boro hat, this was the deserved result. Boro didn't deserve anything from this game, and it's all well and good looking at the second half and going, well, we had a good spell, that was more like it, we looked more like the Boro team that of old, we passed the ball around enough, created so many chances, that's great. It's pointless, absolutely pointless, if you're only doing that when you've already conceded 2 and you're already chasing the game. Absolutely pointless. We need to stop being a 30-minute team, and and I know Carrick come out and said he saw positives in the game and all this, but listen, it's just stupid looking at a spell and saying we did well there when it's taking us going behind before we even bother to turn up and start playing proper football. It happens every single time. Like, if we'd have started the game with this level of intensity and chance creation, it's a different game. It's a different game. You're suddenly putting Blackburn on the back foot, and maybe we take the lead and they chase the game, but that's not what's happening. We're starting so slow and so sluggishly, and we're allowing the opposition to take the initiative, take the lead, and put us in a position where we're chasing. So, take all the positives you want out of the second half, and in isolation, I guess we showed good character to try and respond and whatever, but for me, I'm sick and tired of saying, well, we did well in this spell, we're not putting in performances for 90 minutes, and we're giving ourselves a mountain to climb every single time, and it is no good being as absolutely shit as we were in the first half, to then only chase the game in the second half. So for me, 2-1, it could have been 5-5, it could have been 4-1, it could have been 10-1, whatever, but Boro never in any scenario deserved anything from this game, and the first half especially was possibly the worst half of football from us this season. It was awful. Absolutely shocking. So looking at the team then, I thought there might have been a change of formation. It looked like we were playing a sort of 4-3-3 or a 4-3-2-1. It looked like at times we had House and O'Brien and Hackney in the middle with sort of Force and Crooks behind Lath, or either side of Lath, or Crooks would sometimes be behind Lath. It was, a strange sort of system. I was happy to see O'Brien in the team. I think playing him out on the left, I don't quite agree with, or playing him, either side of a central midfielder, I don't quite agree with. I'd rather O'Brien be the central defensive sitter and have either, House and a Hackney or Barlasser and Hackney, whoever, as sort of a pivot going forward. But essentially at times all of 3 of them were going forward, and again, once they were beaten, the back 4 was exposed, so the point of having the 3 of them on the pitch was irrelevant if we continued to be as absolutely awful as we are defending in transition. But looking across the players individually, I thought Dieng had a few shaky moments when we were up against it, but actually made a number of really, really good saves. And if it wasn't for him, Blackburn would have undoubtedly scored, a couple of more. I think Vandenberg was average, struggled a little bit at times, missed a really good opportunity second half. Brian Lenihan again, I think actually looked all right individually, but again, you defend as a team, and if Boro continue to perform and defend in such a chaotic manner with no control whatsoever of the game, them two are going to be attacked and bombarded time and time again, and they're fighting a losing battle, the pair of them. So I can't really have a go at the two centre-backs too much. They've just got no help in front of them whatsoever. I thought Bangura actually looked really good. It was his first start, given the fact that Engel has got a foot injury, and I already saw more from Bangura in the opening however many minutes he played than I have seen from Engel. I was very actually impressed by Bangura. He just seemed to have a bit more confidence and freedom down the left and wasn't afraid to get forward and affect the play. Unfortunately though, he went off with what looked like a bad muscle injury, which I think will have him out for a few weeks. So I'm really gutted for Bangura because I thought he did well, if I'm honest, and we've now got him and Engel injured. So where our left back comes from, maybe Hayden Coulson comes back in, I don't know. But again, it doesn't inspire me with any confidence whatsoever. I mentioned the midfield 2 or midfield 3. FOTMOB ratings for me, I don't think express what I saw with my eyes. I don't think any of them did great. I think Howson especially wasn't great. Hackney was pretty bad in possession. He lost the ball way too many times. Got better as the game went on, but first half had a shocker. And again, you know what? It doesn't matter how creative they are. This midfield needs to be better defending the back four and in transition. I mean, it's so easy to get through Boro's midfield. You know them meme videos where you see security guards at football games and letting streakers run through and fans run through, there's like no security? That's Boro's midfield right now. It continues to be super passive and as weak as piss, to be honest with you. Going forward, I think Force did what he normally does. He puts all his effort in, didn't have too many chances, but again affects the game in a positive way. And to be fair to Crooks, he got himself a goal which shouldn't have been given, but I don't think it had as poor of a game as he has done. I think it was more part of a collective poor display for me. I think Crooks was alright, but he was a part of a team that ultimately were really bad. And Lath really frustrated me today. I know I've mentioned a lot that he excites me in the fact that I love how much effort he puts in, and he continues to run his socks off and make really good runs and get himself into really good positions. But I am beginning to be concerned by his lack of composure in front of goal. I mean, he was played in, like I say, one-on-one, just didn't take a shot, didn't even think about it, just kept taking touches until the goalkeeper come out, and by that point it was too late. He was played through early on in the first half, I think, and skied his shot. When he puts it on target, it's probably a goal. He's not giving me confidence that he will score enough goals for me that are going to win us games this season. And as I said in my Boro transfer review and talking about the new signings, I don't have confidence that if he's not delivering, any of the strikers behind him will do so either. And that makes me wonder where on earth the goals are going to come from up front, because Lath is not inspiring me with confidence, and neither are the players behind him, if I'm honest. The players who come off the bench, I mean, Sammy Silvera come on for Bangura, didn't really do much. Agree looked bright and did well, sort of in that number 10 position. Again, why he's not starting is utterly beyond me, if I'm honest. I think McGree simply has to be in this team, and Carrick's not picking him. Why, I don't know, but he may as well throw him in there, because it can't get much worse than it already is. May as well try it. Rogers and Coburn come on late, but again, didn't affect the game. I don't think any of the subs particularly did much, if I'm honest. And looking at the stats, I mean, it's another case of Boro outperforming the opposition from an XG point of view, but to be honest with you, unlike other games where I could honestly argue that we had the better chances, I think Blackburn really should have been out of sight. Like I say, this was one of the few games where we didn't have most of the possession. That was mostly due to the first half, where I think they had 60+% of the ball. Again, first half was probably more to blame for that, because we were just literally sat back doing absolutely nothing, letting Blackburn attack us and doing nothing, going the other way. And that sort of leaves us looking ahead. And I mentioned before the break, I looked at the upcoming fixtures, and that I really couldn't see where a result come from and I look at the next few games up until the next international break, and I am really, really concerned, to be honest with you. I mean, who would have thought Sheffield Wednesday midweek would be a game with two sides bottom of the league, both on a point, and it feels like a relegation 6-pointer. I mean, it isn't. Obviously, we've only played 6 games of the season, but that game is ridiculous. I mean, the pressure on Boro to win that is huge. And if we don't beat Sheffield Wednesday, I cannot fathom the reaction of the fans. I think if we don't beat Sheffield Wednesday, there will be a serious turn with the Boro fans, to be honest, if there isn't one already. You look at then Southampton. I mean, even though they're shipping goals for fun, so are we. So it could be a case of who outscores who. I don't think we've got a chance in hell of outscoring that Southampton team, so I don't have any confidence there. Going to Watford, we never do well there. They're starting to look pretty good. They beat Birmingham today. And then you've got a home game against Carrick, which we should win on paper. We probably won't. And then, I mean, we could be humiliated at Sunderland at this rate, if I'm honest. So by that point, you're 11 games in. And, you know, for all of the whole argument of, well, it's too early to judge, it's too early to this and that. 11 games in, you absolutely have the right to judge a side and how they've started the season. And we could honestly be at a point where we've won maybe one game max. And then you start looking around and thinking that something is honestly wrong here. So the next week is huge. The Sheffield Wednesday game is beyond massive. And my thoughts on Boro as a whole haven't changed too much from before the break. Like I'd say, I was expecting a lot more because we had the break and that there'd be signs of improvement, and I'll repeat what I said in the last Project Boro. You can get behind a side when you're seeing improvement and you can sort of see what they're trying to do. But for me, I don't see any improvement at all. I don't see us improving at the back at all, and we're still hopeless going forward in terms of finishing our chances. So I just don't see where this team is improving, and I think it's hard to judge Carrick because he's still very young in his managerial career, and this is the first time he's hit a bump like this, so you've got to expect that it will take him time to fix it. But essentially, the stats don't lie. He needs to try and find a solution quick, because I personally don't think sacking Carrick's the right decision. I don't see the benefit in it, to be honest. I think we just restart the same endless cycle that's had us mediocre over the last few seasons. But you've got to look at it from a results point of view, and will Steve Gibson look at it differently if we're bottom after 11 games with only one win? You know, the fans will always have an influence, and as it stands, a lot of fans are already sick and tired of what's been happening, because this essentially doesn't just go back to the start of this season, it goes back further. Boro haven't kept a clean sheet since, I think, November, and we've only won, I think, once in the last 13, or we haven't won in our last 13 or something, going back to the whole game last season. I think it might be 13 games without a win. You know, this has been something that's gone on for a very long time, and there's no signs that it's going to stop. So inevitably, if you can't see how this slide ends, Boro are going to continue to be where they are. How does that change? If it's not going to change on the pitch, does the manager then get changed? I don't know, but personally, I wouldn't sack Carrick because I don't see the benefit, and I don't see who would replace him and do a better job. But, you know, at the same time, have I got faith that he will turn it around and make the changes necessary? No, I don't. That's just from what I see on the pitch. So I don't know what happens over the next few weeks and months. I think midweek is a definitive game that will really change how things are perceived, because you can go to Blackburn and lose. We've done that plenty. But if you go to Sheffield Wednesday, who are equally as bad, and we have a team with the players that we have, the squad that we have, and we don't pick up a result there, there's every right to have questions asked at that point. And in terms of our long-term goals, I did a bit of research and I looked at teams who've got promoted out of this league, and the goals conceded by the teams who've got promoted over the last 3 seasons. And I think on average, over the season, I think last season, the 3 promoted sides on average conceded 37 goals. I think the year before it was 40 between the 3 who went up, and the year before it was 37. So that's essentially where you need to be defensively, and we're nowhere near. We're on track to concede maybe 70 to 80 goals this season. How many do you have to score to get anywhere near up the table? You have to be scoring 80, 90, 100 goals. That's not going to happen in this Boro team. We can't finish for love nor money. So all I could say is that we need to just rip up the rule book of whatever we're trying to do, start at the back and build. I don't care if the next 5 games are all 0-0s. I really couldn't care less. We need to find a clean sheet from flipping somewhere, because we've not had one in I don't know how long. And we need to at least have a couple of games where we concede 0.5 goals a game. We have 4 games where we maybe concede 2 at the very most. We just turn this ship around, and then we can look at scoring goals again. Because I was kind of thinking, well, maybe the best form of defence for this Boro team is to attack. Because we looked so much better going forward in the second half. But then I thought, that's because there's a team we're playing who are sitting on a lead and are going to defend it. In an equal game, if we keep ploughing men forward, trying to attack, we're going to get picked off at the back, because we just are. The midfield is just so open, and we don't have the quality at the front to outscore teams. You know, last season, there was maybe an argument that we had the right to say, you score 2, we'll score 3. You score 3, hey, we'll score 4. We don't do that anymore. If we concede 2, we ain't scoring 2. If we concede 3, we've lost. So, yeah, all I could suggest is that we start at the back. I don't know if we change formation or what. We simply have to tighten up, have a better shape, stop conceding, and then once we've nailed that, we then look at how we then proceed and start scoring again. But this isn't something that's going to fix itself overnight. We can't just flip from being an attacking side who were used to scoring loads and conceding loads, but outscoring the opposition, which naturally meant we were quite bad at the back anyway, but we weren't exposed because of the goals we were scoring. You can't flip that on its head and suddenly be a really good defensively well-structured side who still score goals. That ain't happening. We need to sort ourselves out at the back and simply go from there. But yeah, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with this season, and I really, really need to be seeing some signs that we're heading in the right direction. And I'll be honest, my expectations of this season in terms of promotion and playoffs, I think I'm going to shelve them for now and forget about them. I just want to see this side in the short term start to turn itself around and start to keep clean sheets and start to just look like a more solid, functioning outfit that's winning games, because at the minute, it's just utter chaos. We have no control, no structure. It's just all over the place at the moment. And as I say, without the quality up top to bail us out, it's making us look, and it's exposing us to be a really, really bad side at the moment. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I honestly could continue on ranting and raving, and as you can tell, the more annoyed I'm getting, the longer these Project Boros are getting. I'm going to leave it there, but I will be back in the midweek to hopefully, for God's sake, be back with another Project Boro with what will hopefully be a first win of the season. But let me tell you, if we can't beat Sheffield Wednesday, and God forsake we lose, God, I don't know what I'm going to say in that episode, if I'm honest. But Boro fans of neutral teams, whoever you may be, comment below your thoughts on the club, your thoughts on the Boro side, and what on earth you think's going on, and how we go about fixing this absolute mess. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video, do like it, because it really helps me out, and to be honest with you, it makes me feel a bit better, and I really need that right now. Subscribe for more as well. As I say, I don't just do Boro content, I sort of review the championship as a whole as well. But until next time, guys, do take care. I'll catch you guys very soon.